G'day battlers, today we're going to be talking about the Element Cup Little Edition that is going to be coming to the Go Battle League from July 1st through to July 8th alongside the Great League. So usually I'm saying for those Great League enjoyers, you've got something else to play, but I guess this is for the Great League haters. So if you're a Great League hater, you've got some Little Cup action coming your way. So what is the Element Cup Little Edition? Essentially it is a little cup, so it is 500 CP and below, and then it's a very simple one. It is fire types, water types, and grass types. That is it, except it's not it because there's one more dot point down below, and that is only Pokemon that are able to evolve and have not evolved even once will be eligible. So it's sort of first stage evolutions that aren't sort of at the end of its line, I guess. So it's a bit of a wacky one, but let's just jump into the meta to take a look at what we're expecting. And of course, we have to get the thumbnail shot as well. There we go. Now we've got 5 main groups on the graphic and some very, very important Pokemon down below me. I need to stress very clearly the Pokemon below me are going to be big in this meta, especially the very big Carvana that I've carved out directly below me. We're just going to talk about those guys towards the end of the video, and we're going to focus on this main graphic first. These guys are sort of more core breakers, or a bit more, I guess, interesting picks, I think you could say. So let's start over here. In the very top center, we have Skrelp. If we sort of follow it clockwise or around, we then have the Pumpkaboo and Lileep, I guess sort of alternative grass types. Keep going around, you have Ducklet in the bottom right hand corner. In the bottom left, you have generally the grasses in Fungus, Oddish, and Fomantis, but you also have the Frillish behind them. And then over in the Ovo on the left hand corner, we have the sort of, I guess, ground-ish group where we have Wooper, we have Barboach, we have the Shellos, and also we have Binacle hanging out here because it does have access to Mudslap. So let's start off with Skrelp. Skrelp is the #1 ranked Pokemon in the meta, and I think that the main reason for this, it is the fastest Pokemon in this meta. Actually tied with Barboach, but it is very, very quick. It takes 10 turns to get to its first Aqua Tail. It is going to be using Acid as a fast attack, and that is sort of why Skrelp is good now. So running Acid, Aqua Tail, and Sludge Bomb, you can be quite fast, and that just, to be honest with you, in Lil Cup, there is not a lot of HP running around. And so if you can get more charge moves off faster than your opponent, generally you are going to win the matchup. And you're going to see there's sort of a few matchups here that actually play out that way. For example, there's some important asterisks here that the arrows don't actually entirely tell the truth. But this is a simplified meta. That's what we're going to do here today. So generally, it's going to be beating the Pumpkaboo and the Lileep, thanks to its acid damage. You're also going to be able to beat Ducklet, and that is mostly because you do outpace it. That is sort of the #1 reason you're able to beat Ducklet. You're able to, generally going to lose to the grasses, or you can sort of get away with it if you can like land a Sludge Bomb especially, or if you've got a little bit of an energy advantage, because again, charge move speed can really run away with it. And generally you are going to lose to the sort of ground damage as well, because that is not great for you, but you're also going to lose to Binacle in a similar way. Because again, Mudslap is going to be a little bit scary in the grand scheme of things. And moving on to the Pumpkaboo and Lileep, I've sort of called them the alternative grasses because I made the other grass group first, but I guess it's the only one that's 100% grass. But these guys are going to lose to Skrelp, going to beat the Waters, which makes sense. Going to actually beat Ducklet as well, which is really nice. And then generally going to lose to the grass group. Notably, Pumpkaboo actually does have a good matchup into the Frillish, but Frillish just generally fit into that group otherwise. Ducklet, bit of a different take to previous little element cups. So in the past, I've sort of recommended Bubble Beam, Brave Bird is the main moveset to go for, partially because Bubble Beam was really nice to just debuff everyone, but partially because there was a lot of fire types running around so that you could do super effective Bubble Beam to. And you just want to take a look at that main graphic and see how many fire types you can count up. I know that you're done because there's 0 on that main group. So it's sort of I guess maybe you don't need Bubble Beam as much, and that's actually why that PvPoke recommends Aerial Ace and Brave Bird is the moveset instead. So maybe that's going to change. I mean, you could still run Bubble Beam, especially if fire types start to run up. I know we have one fire type down here. Maybe fire becomes reasonable. Maybe you just want to go for some Bubble Beam debuffs. I don't know, but the PvPoke recommended moveset is double flying, and essentially Brave Bird just hits everything. Anything that, the sky sees, Ducklet will be able to Brave Bird away, except for one pick that might be somewhere on this graphic. But other than that, it is a little bit slow, and that is sort of what holds Ducklet back a little bit. But it is generally able to beat the other grasses, also beat the Mud Boys as well, because it doesn't care that much about the ground damage. Loses the Skrelp, though, which is unfortunate. Then we've got the grasses at the bottom left. Oddish is going to be that sort of Razor Leaf hard tactics. Shadow Oddish going to be superior. You're going to be able to beat Skrelp. You can beat the Waters, the Mud Boys, obviously. You are going to lose to the Ducklet, although Fomantis can actually win the Ducklet matchup in the one shield, although it's sort of like, I mean when I say can win, because you sort of need to go for the Trailblaze get that shielded, and then land the Leaf Blade after that with a boosted Leaf Blade. So it's a little bit hecky. It's just technically you can win it. Technically PvPoke says that you win it, but Ducklet more often than not probably wins that matchup, which is why I've sort of left it as Ducklet winning that particular matchup. But then there's the group in the top left. They beat Skrelp. That's the main reason they're here. Otherwise, they sort of lose to the grasses, and they don't do that well into Ducklet either. So they're sort of the weakest of the bunch. Although, importantly, Binacle, what's Binacle's moveset again? I'm actually going to have to look it up because, believe me, I don't actually understand. These aren't movesets that I've memorized. But it's got Ancient Power, which does actually let you get some of the wins against the grass types, and also against Ducklet, if you can land those moves. So it actually can be a little bit more powerful than maybe this graphic actually does show. It just depends on how you build your team composition, if you can get shields from the opponent. Let me talk about the other really important pick though, and it's Carvanha. Carvanha is actually going to be crazy, specifically Shadow Carvanha, because you can just bite your way through most Pokemon in the meta, just like, no charge moves needed, just bite, and you win in like sort of record-breaking time. It's actually kind of crazy. You're going to see a lot of YouTube videos with Shadow Carvanha really just tearing through the meta. You can do really well, and it's going to be, I think like the cookie cutter team is going to be, maybe not the cookie cutter team, but I think a very easy team is going to be Skrelp, Ducklet, Carvanha is going to be pretty scary. And so generally you are going to want a Pokemon that can wall Carvanha, hopefully. Fomantis is actually one that you can literally just Fury Cutter down Carvanha. It takes you 9 Fury Cutters. There is not a lot of HP in this meta when Fury Cutter can like farm down a Pokemon. Now in saying that, Bite does so much damage back to Fomantis that if Fomantis is even a little bit weak, Carvanha will actually bite you down instead. So like it's very tit for tat. Dupiter, who is down here as well, is another one that can sort of wall off that Carvanha. It actually does a lot better than the Fomantis. I think that Dupiter is just a little bit bulkier, so it can take those bites a little bit better. Chinchou is down in the bottom right-hand corner. Chinchou used to be like real hot stuff in this meta. You were really able to just hard counter that Ducklet, which was its main claim to fame. And I think that if you do see a lot of water types, like if you're seeing the Carvanha and Ducklet running around, then maybe Chinchou still has a role, but I just don't think it's as good as it used to be, unfortunately. But it's still going to be around, and it's going to be there as that sort of RPS potential, if that's sort of your playstyle. And we have Litwick hanging there as well. There's other fire types like Tepig, I think is actually like the number 1 ranked fire type maybe, or the Vulpix is still in existence, but Body Slam's been nerfed. It's kind of just like, if you see a very heavy grass type presence, then maybe the fire types start to become good. But I just think there is so much water type damage running around. There are so much water types running around. Even like, Skrelp is throwing Aqua Tails really, really fast. And that is the fastest move in the game, alongside Barboach throwing Mud Bombs, I think. So it's sort of like, I don't know, man. It just feels like maybe that isn't the way to go. But hey, if that's the way you want to go, then have some fun with it. I'm sure there's going to be some pretty cool content creator teams with that as well. But generally, I've made it pretty quick. This is going to be my little Element Cup Meta Simplified infographic. Thank you for watching. If there's any sort of things that I missed, or things that maybe you want to highlight, other Pokemon that are going to be good, let me know in the comments down below. If you think that Shadow Slowpoke is going to be the greatest thing of all time, do let me know. But with that said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you want to see Meta Simplified infographics like this in the future. And yeah, thank you to my patrons and supporters on YouTube. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.